Hi guys, welcome to another episode of 4K channel. What makes a banknote unique is the serial number. And I'm going to share with you some fancy serial numbers today. We're going to start with this set of 6 banknotes, and these are 50 rupee notes from India. And what makes them interesting is the fact that we have 6 banknotes in a series, meaning consecutive banknotes. If you look at the serial number, last 2 digits, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. So you can collect banknotes in consecutive series. Obviously, these banknotes are not very expensive. These are modern banknotes, easy to find. I'm going to show you some other more interesting and more fancy serial numbers. And these are modern banknotes, so not very hard to find and certainly not very expensive. And if you look around in your wallet, who knows, maybe you'll come across a fancy serial number. And I have yet to find one in my pocket, but I'm still looking. So here I have a low serial number. So we have 6 digits, and as long as you have a serial number that's 2 digits or less, that would be considered a low serial number. This is a serial number 4. Here we have a solid serial number, meaning all same digits, all 6s. I wish the prefix was also 6. That would have made it even more interesting. Let's see. Here we have what's called a repeater. So we have 89, 89, 89. So 89 repeating 3 times. And another interesting thing about this banknote is if you flip it over, it's what's called a flipper or a rotator, and you can still read the numbers, and it's now 686868. So it's a repeater and a flipper. Let's take a look at this one. This one is also a repeater, 898, 898. So you have 3 digits repeating itself. And just like before, this is a flipper, 868, 868. And if you read this number from left to right or right to left, it'll be the same number. So this is also what's called a radar, because it's the same number left to right or right to left. So repeater, flipper, radar. Kind of interesting. This one, on the other hand, is not a repeater, but it's a radar. So whether you read from left to right or right to left, it's the same number. And this also happens to be a flipper. So you flip it over and it reads 196691. So as long as you have digits like 0, 1, 6, 8, or 9 in the serial number, that would be a flipper. Anyways, moving on. Here we have 2 banknotes, and you have what's called ladder. Basically, numbers going from low to high, consecutive numbers from low to high, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are considered ladder serial numbers. Now if you take a look at this serial number, nothing fancy about this serial number. It's not a repeater, it's not a radar. Certainly you can't flip it over and call it a flipper. But it has a star, so it's a replacement note. So whenever a note is damaged, it's taken out of circulation and it's replaced by a star or a replacement note, and a replacement note can have a star or a letter Z. So this is a replacement note. And I have a couple of more examples of the replacement note. Here is a $100 replacement note. And this note I got as change after buying coffee. Not bad. It's not a low serial number. It's not a fancy serial number. I wish it was a fancy serial number and a star note. That would have been really cool. And it actually has a little fold in the center, so not in the best condition, but certainly would like to keep it. If I sell it, I'm not gonna get much for it, but it's kind of cool to have. Especially, I didn't have to buy it. I just happened to find it in my wallet. So guys, pay attention to what you get. You never know. Let's look at some other banknotes with serial numbers that are interesting. So here all the serial numbers are 0. That's because it's a specimen note. This is a South Korean specimen note. So that's why there's really no serial number. It's been replaced by all zeros. And this is one of my favorite banknotes I have. So this is obviously a Saddam Hussein Iraq note, 10,000 dinars. And I don't know what this exactly says, but nothing fancy about this serial number, other than the fact that this serial number doesn't match that serial number. So this is basically an error note, guys. So you have two different serial numbers on this banknote. Both of these serial numbers should be same. And so what you have is one of these serial numbers doesn't belong on this note. So it doesn't have serial numbers on the back, just in the front, and it's an error note. So this is probably the coolest one I have in my collection. And just to close, I want to show you something cool. So let's take a look at this banknote. If you have never seen this banknote, it looks cool, but there's something odd. So if you look at the serial number on the top, 274583. The serial number on the bottom is upside down, and it reads 276283. Close, but not the same. And this is not an error note, guys. This is not an error. There are serial numbers on top and serial numbers on bottom. Top serial numbers match with each other. The bottom match with each other, but they don't match. The top doesn't match with the bottom. That's because it's literally two banknotes cut and pasted together. So if you look at the edges here, guys, you kind of see what's going on. So someone has done a cut and paste on these notes. And I have a couple other notes with basically the same thing, cut and paste. So they kind of look like real notes, but they're not. So what's going on is these are International Banking Corp notes. So this was a American bank in Beijing. This is the Peking or Beijing branch, which these notes were unissued and basically were cut in half. And the bottom portion, which had the signature, was destroyed. And the banking staff basically, as souvenirs, kept the top half. So they had top halves from all different notes with different serial numbers, and what they decided to do was basically, you know, take two halves, cut and paste them together to make it into a full note. So a real banknote, you know, would have two globes and just one eagle, and on the bottom half would have signatures, and it would be a very cool, very expensive banknote. These banknotes are kind of collectors They're not worth a whole lot, but they're very beautiful. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave some comments. Please click subscribe and keep collecting.